Welcome to the Explainer. Imagine, just for a second, putting absolutely everything you own, your wealth, your family's future, literally your entire empire, on the line. And then you lose it all in a single rigged game. The stakes couldn't possibly be higher, right? Today, we're diving into a breathtaking text that captures the exact moment a king reckons with the total annihilation of his reign. We're unpacking an ancient narrative full of catastrophic loss, intense family conflict, and honestly, a profound lesson in ultimate self-control. Okay, let's dive into this. Just listen to this raw, agonizing confession from King Ajatasatru. My heart burneth as if I have drunk some poisonous liquid. He's speaking to his brother here, and he isn't hiding behind some royal decree or a stoic mask. He's admitting to this profound, visceral grief over what just happened to his family, especially the persecution of Draupadi. It's not just regret, it's this toxic, burning humiliation that is literally eating him alive from the inside out. But to really get why he feels like he swallowed poison, well, we have to look at the inciting incident.
Section 1. The rigged dice game, conscious folly.
So this whole catastrophic mistake stems from a desire to snatch a kingdom with sovereignty from a rival son, Duryodhana. The king freely admits, he wanted to win big. But when you step into a game driven by the desire to take what belongs to someone else, you're opening yourself up to the exact traps that are going to be your undoing. And wow, this trap was set beautifully. We have this stark strategic contrast. On one side, there's King Ajatasatru, firmly devoted to truth, but completely, totally unacquainted with the dark artifices of gambling. And on the other side, stepping in for Duryodhana, is Sakuni. The text describes Sakuni as a native of the hilly country, an exceedingly artful, cunning gambler. Basically, this wasn't a game of chance, it was a total execution. Sakuni manipulated the odds and evens right there in front of the assembly, artfully vanquishing an honest king who just didn't know how to navigate that level of deceit. But here is the really incredible psychological takeaway from the source material. The king doesn't just point fingers and blame the cheating. He actually looks inward. He states that he could have controlled his mind when he saw the dice favoring Sakuni. So why didn't he? Well, because, as the text notes, anger, hotter, which is just a fancy word for haughty arrogance, and pride drive off a person's patience. Basically, vanity blinded him. It's a staggering admission of human frailty, isn't it? His lack of emotional control in the heat of the moment is exactly what cemented the whole calamity.
Section 2. The terms of exile, brutal consequences.
And this brilliantly illustrates the absolutely brutal consequences of that vanity. This wasn't just a loss of gold or some property. We're talking about a total stripping of identity and freedom. The rules that now govern the king and his brothers are strict, unyielding, and clearly designed for maximum suffering. Look at this timeline. First, they have to abandon all their wealth and dwell in the forest for 12 long years, fully known to all men. Then comes the real trapdoor. The 13th year must be passed in absolute secrecy. If the rival spies discover them during that single year of hiding, the entire clock resets. Yeah, they have to go back to the forest for another 12 years and try again. It's basically the most punishing reset button in the history of the world. And that was the horrific price tag that cost them the glorious kingdom of the Five Rivers. Faced with these impossible terms, delivered right in the midst of the Kuru assembly, the king replied with 3 simple words: so be it. I really want you to feel the weight of that. The game was totally wretched, they were artfully vanquished, but he pledged himself to the terms anyway. He made a binding, unbreakable promise right there in the presence of all good men. Section 3. Anger, guilt, and restraint. Internal conflict. Now we shift our focus to the aftermath, where they're wandering miserably over woody regions abounding with discomfort. The brothers are dealing with extreme injustice, the loss of their home, and that deep, deep trauma of having watched Draupadi be persecuted in the assembly. I mean, imagine if you were in their shoes for a second. We have 2 very different reactions here. We've got Bhimasena, and he is furious. He's using arrowy, harsh words, torturing his brother with blame. During the game itself, Bhima actually wanted to burn the king's hands to stop him. Then, on the flip side, we have Yudhisthira, King Ajatasatru. He musters his patience, views the calamity as preordained, and utterly refuses to break his pledge. It is this epic clash, right? Hot-headed, righteous anger versus cool-headed, unyielding virtue. And honestly, we all experience conflicts like this, where one part of us desperately wants to lash out and the other demands we stay grounded. So the king counters Bhima's raging anger with sharp, undeniable logic. He asks his brother, "If thou couldst do what thou hadst desired, could this calamity befall us?" He's reminding Bhima that back in the assembly,
Bhima was actually prevented from acting by their brother, Arjuna. Bhima just ended up squeezing his own hands in frustration. The king is essentially saying, look, you didn't speak up or act before the agreement was finalized. The pledge is made, the time is past. Pouring out harsh words and raging after the fact, it's entirely useless.
Section 4. The strategy of patience, waiting to strike. This brings us to a massive pivot. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the king isn't just telling his brother to calm down. He's pivoting to high-level strategy, using this brilliant metaphorical imagery. He tells Bhima to wait for the return of better days, like a scatterer of seeds waiting for the harvest. He completely transforms the concept of revenge from a sudden chaotic explosion into a deliberate agricultural cycle. You wait until the enemy's enmity has fully borne fruit and flowers. You let the situation ripen, striking at the perfect ordained moment. That is exactly what separates a fool from a master strategist. And let me tell you, the rewards for this calculated, patient strategy are immense. The source text lays out exactly what happens to the brave person who waits to revenge himself at the proper time. First, they accomplish a great thing by prowess. They earn undying fame. They obtain great prosperity. Their enemies are finally forced to bow down unto them, and their friends gather around them for protection, clustering like the celestials around Indra. So patience isn't just a virtue here, it's literally the ultimate blueprint for total victory. Section 5. Truth above all else, a philosophical anchor.
We've talked about the trap, the anger, and the strategy. But underneath all of the maneuvering and all the promises of future prosperity lies a profound philosophical resolution that anchors this entire text. So the crucial point is this number, 16. The king declares that kingdoms, sons, fame, and wealth, all the things men wage wars and destroy their lives for, they do not come up to even a 16th part of the value of truth. No matter the provocation, no matter the humiliation, truth holds a mathematical supremacy over absolutely every earthly desire.
And this is exactly why the king ultimately refuses to violate his pledge to the Kurus. He states definitively that virtue is superior to life itself. For a respectable person, he argues, death itself is lighter than acquiring a kingdom by an act of transgression. Gaining sovereignty through a broken promise, that isn't a victory, it's a spiritual death. His promise, he insists, can never be untrue.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful question taken straight from the source text. After entering into an agreement in the presence of good men, who dareth break it for the sake of a kingdom on earth? It really forces us to ask ourselves what our own word is truly worth. I mean, if you wouldn't break your word for an entire empire, what could possibly shake your honor? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable text with me in this explainer, and I hope this leaves you thinking about the incredible power of restraint and truth.